Hi everyone, welcome back to The Learning Gardener. If you haven't been here before, my name is Pip. And get excited because it has finally stopped raining, which means that we can actually emerge outside. Does it mean we can go back into the house without dragging a ton of mud with us? No. So the puppies have brought mud all through the house. It's on the walls, it's everywhere. It's bad. But we're going to get outside, we're going to do a little bit of gardening, and hopefully we're going to feel a bit better about life. So I'm going to trim back this salvia. This is, I think, a Mystic Spires or something along those lines. And it has been in this pot now for 2 seasons. And this is a large urn that I got from my parents' house. My mum had it just, I think it was even sitting on its side in their backyard and they weren't using it. And she said, "Do you want it?" And I was like, yeah, I do. So it's kind of like the beautiful centerpiece that is in the middle of the veggie garden that the arbors that I have that kind of create a tunnel, they kind of have this as the centerpiece no matter which direction you're coming from. But this looks gorgeous all through summer. And I've been really hesitant to cut it back because the bees have been enjoying it, and the eastern spinebill bird, which is kind of a bit like a hummingbird, has been enjoying it. And I am just going to leave the offcuts here for the bees to continue to work on, but also because we've had something like 3/4 of a meter of rain in the last 3 weeks, so something like 35 inches of rain, something insane. And bee just landed, and the backyard is destroyed. So part of the reason it's destroyed is because I took that opportunity to panic dig a moat for the chickens so that they could have less water in the coop. They were all right, but yeah, it wasn't great for a while, and especially around the coop, and also just to get the water off the property. So that has made that area a boggy mess, but also having to go to and from the chicken coop a couple of times in this weather while the ground is so wet has ripped up the ground, plus the dogs. Plus, Big Betty had what I think was scaly leg mite. So anyway, backyard is destroyed. So yeah, anyway, back to the point. So the salvia, you can see, it should be going dormant, but it's actually put on a flush of growth down the bottom and new blooms. So I'm just cutting it back and leaving that there. Also in this pot, we have the remnants of spring and summer that never really got going, which was, I don't even remember. I think maybe snapdragons. We also had some billy buttons, which are a yellow kind of globe that are an Australian native. And we had 2 aquilegias. We've only got one of them, it looks like now. I think the other one maybe has died because it's the wrong time of year for it to die back. But well, and I was going to dig these up and relocate them into one of my favorite garden beds in summertime that is currently my least favorite garden bed because it's pretty empty. But then I was like, that garden bed is literally like a swimming pool. If I dig this out, it will become a swimming pool. But now I see there is only one of them. So maybe I'll dig it out. But that wasn't the plan. And I thought we had a couple of extra billy buttons that were still alive, but there's only a few. But I'll leave them in there because I wouldn't mind if they sort of naturalized. But I guess we'll take this aquilegia out. The problem with the aquilegias in here is they kind of got dwarfed by everything in summer, which is fine because they're more of a plant that wants a little bit more of a reprieve than Australian afternoon sun in summer. But they were supposed to both be white, and one was white and one was pink. So, and they tended to bloom more in autumn than in spring, like a lot of my other aquilegias, which was annoying because it meant you never actually got to see the blooms because they were busy, I can't even get this thing out, drowning in summer blooms. Okay, so we've probably killed it in the process of doing that, but you know, whatever. So I'll have to just deposit that in a pot in the meantime because it is just going to die if I put it in the ground. I can't remember if I said this because I was blathering on, but I was actually thinking about replacing this as a centerpiece, but I couldn't find anything else that I wanted as a centerpiece. And this does give you 3/4 of the year bloom wise. So hard to beat. Also probably very hard to get out. So in with it, we're going to put these daisies. I think I took a photo of the name of them, so if I did, I'll put it on the screen, but they've come without tags or labels. But they look a bit rough now because we've had 50 bajillion inches of rain, but they will look absolutely gorgeous with the salvia. I have these in a container with a different kind of salvia that's a pale blue, and it just looks beautiful together. And I also have these in one of the garden beds just behind me, and it has gotten massive. So it'd be really nice to see these fill out and take up a lot of spot. I have found generally whatever I've put in here has been underwhelming and not really performed all that well apart from the salvia, so I'm hoping that these will be able to compete. But they, like the salvia, tend to be more of a summer bloomer, so I feel like I'm going to need some colour this winter. So we've got some yellow and white pansies which we're going to pop around the bottom, and hopefully that will fill in and provide some colour in the interim and in early spring while these are getting going. I thought about, do I just do like some annual plantings, but the reality is that I have barely enough time to manage the property that I have. I'm behind on the inside jobs, I'm behind on the outside jobs, and yeah, if it's perennial or something like the pansies, which will either self-seed in there and continue on or die back when it gets swamped out by everything else, it's one less thing for me to deal with. So that's the reality of it. And if I have some space and some spare seedlings in summer, I'll shove them in, but usually the salvia on its own is pretty enough. So I take everything out. We're going to attempt to dig some holes for these plants to go in, but I suspect the whole area is, going to be fairly root bound, but we'll just make the best of the situation and try and add a little bit of soil and a little bit of fertilizer at the same time, because pretty much this area gets neglected during summer and just left to its own devices. I'm not going to put a ton of fertilizer in here just because it doesn't make sense to do so at this point in the season, and to be honest, with the amount of rain we've been having, it will probably get washed away if I put too much in there, especially something like blood and bone, which is in powder form. And if these plants go dormant like they're supposed to, they won't actually be using it, so it won't really make much of a difference. It'll just be a waste of fertilizer. I've got to try and remember to deal with it in spring, we'll see. But yeah, let's get these in. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. The colours complement each other beautifully, and yes, things are looking a bit raggedy because of the rain and the storms and the wind and all the things, and the fact that we're heading into winter, but hopefully between the daisies and the salvia, this will end up being a very full urn and very full of perennial beautiful colour that is definitely a colour combination that I'm already enjoying, the intensity of this purple versus the changing colour of the pink on the daisy, because they start off like almost like a red pink. It's not quite a fuchsia, but it's very bright and intense, and it fades and gradually becomes softer as the daisy sort of starts to age. But I'm really hoping that then this will be one of those areas that I can just sort of set and forget, and it will put on a spectacular show every year, and I won't need to do a lot of maintenance on it. But that's not all we're going to do today. All the cleanup and everything that I need to do, so not just getting rid of the salvia pieces that we cut off, but generally the cleanup as we go towards the end of the growing season and into winter, and the moat cleanup, we'll all have to just wait until the ground has had a little bit of a chance to dry out a bit, because as I said, it's so muddy. Like I showed you guys the mud before, it's like about 4 times worse now, excluding the moat area. And I just, like, unless I have to go through it, I'm trying not to, just so I don't tear it up more. But we have got a couple of other jobs to do in this part of the garden, so because we've laid mulch, it's quite manageable through here. So we're just going to quickly do those jobs, because otherwise I'm going to keep forgetting about them. So the first one is a harvest. This garden bed looks so rough. It's got potatoes that are popping up, because you will never be free of potatoes once you've planted them in a garden bed. It's got flowers that are dying back. It's got broccolis that were planted optimistically early that just got mauled, and the whole bed has just been constantly attacked by blackbirds. But the one thing that did really well, and then I left for just so much longer than I should have left it, were these kohlrabi. I've never ever grown kohlrabi before. They grew so quickly and they looked so beautiful and perfect and like an above ground beetroot, and I just love them. And the bugs didn't seem to be that interested in them. They were actually going after the broccoli, and the kohlrabi was completely fine. And then I think once the broccoli got to a certain point, they were like, well, there is nothing else to eat, we must attack the kohlrabi. So then the kohlrabi has started getting a little bit of attack, but nothing like before. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the kohlrabi, and I'll probably regret cutting off all of these stems, but they will go to the chickens this afternoon. But we've got 2 in here which were my trial kohlrabis, and to be honest, even if I don't like them, I reckon I'll probably grow them again, just because they're beautiful. It's such a nice colour, and it's kind of satisfying, to have something grow really well when all the brassicas have been struggle street for me. But something else that's been growing really well that we also need to start dealing with are the lufas. I think with this rain, the lufas have finally stopped attempting to put on new flowers and grow new lufas. I think it's just working on finishing up with the million lufas that it has. But it's time to try and harvest a couple and see what we've got. So the whole point is that apparently you can eat them when they're green, but I don't know if they taste that great. But the whole point is you wait till they're super brown, and then they have this little end bit which is where the flower was, and it should pop off and you should be able to shake out all the seeds, and then you've got to soak off the outer skin, and I'm wondering if we even need to soak off the outer skin because we've had so much rain. But there's about 3 or 4 that I can see that are pretty good to go, and so it'll be fun to see what our homegrown lufas are like, because this is something I've been very excited about, just because it blows my mind that I can grow my own sponges. And not only that I can grow my own sponges, my gosh, these secateurs are so blunt, I can't even cut through anything. But It just blows my mind how productive this plant has been and how vigorous it's been. I thought if I grow it again next year, next growing season I mean, I will grow it over the chicken coop potentially, so it gives them some shade. But I think I planted like 3 seedlings, maybe 4. I know I put if there is a 4th one, but I put that in like at the end of summer just because it was sitting in a seedling tray, and it has already put on a substantial amount of growth. It wouldn't surprise me if it had lufas. The one I put in halfway through summer has got like at least 16 lufas on it. They're not as big as these ones, but still, what am I going to do with all these lufas? Like, me and all my friends and family are going to be in lufas for all time. We really don't need to grow it again next season. The lufas and the tromboncino are kind of the weird thing that I wanted to grow this season. I say this like I've had so many growing seasons. I like to try and grow something weird each season, just for shits and giggles basically. And I've already got the 2 things that I want to grow next season lined up. I just don't really know where I'm going to grow them. Well, I know where I'm going to grow one. The other one I'm going to have to do some thinking about. And it might have to be the orchard, but we shall see. But let's go and see if we can find some lufas underneath all of these. So let's give this a go. This one feels more ready, so I should just be able to pop that off. I'm not going to lie, that's kind of satisfying. Like the equivalent of popping a garden pimple. Oh no, one seed just went down there. I'm gonna have lufas everywhere for all my life. Let's see if I can peel it, because it's been pre-soaked by the rain. To be honest, it kind of looks a bit moldy. Oh no, it's loofah seeds everywhere. Now, having never grown loofahs before, I don't know if this is normal, but there's like little fuzzy bits here that look an awful lot like mold. And I don't know if that's just the discoloration that comes naturally with a loofah, which is why people talk about bleaching them so that they're nice and natural and white, or if that's a side effect of the rain. It certainly looks like mold. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to actually, I can see 1,000 more seeds inside. I'm not going to actually harvest the other ones. I'm just going to let them sit on the deck in the sun. This one feels quite soggy too. And we're just going to see what happens. And maybe that gives them a chance to kind of dry out and not be soggy and moldy inside. I don't know. All a learning experience and interesting to see, but it's kind of cool that we can actually grow our own sponges. So I thought just to wrap up this video, I would show you guys how bad the back is, and I'm quite sure that the camera does not do it justice. It's really, really bad. And this is just from me walking up and down to the chickens, and from I had to bring the wheelbarrow down yesterday. As I said, I think Big Betty had scaly leg mite, the very beginnings of. So my beautiful best friend who lives 3 doors down took one for the team, and her daughter came round at night, and we went in and we dunked them all in oil and rubbed them all in Vaseline, and then I've had to clean out the coop, which meant bringing out the wheelbarrow and tearing up the grass, you know, just a touch more, just a touch, whatever. At this point, in for a penny, in for a pound. But on the plus side, chickens are looking better. On the downside, grass looks like, well, you know what. And it just is what it is. It's interesting to see that it's almost to the week the exact same situation as last year. So note to self, all mulch and everything needs to be done before May. So it just is what it is. But I just want to say, I know that the videos have been way less frequent and way less predictable when they're coming out lately, and I really appreciate you guys still supporting the channel and hanging out with us. Essentially, as I've said many times, I've been very, very tired going back to work, and I work long days. And then I had this patch where I knew I was not going to be able to film because I was having to leave the house at 4 a.m. and I was just destroyed by doing that for a week. And then obviously this happened and I couldn't film outside in the rain. It was so heavy, and also the more I'm in it, the worse I'm making it. So we only really came out if we had to, and I've been on the edge of tonsillitis for a while. So, you know, I had tried to build up I don't even, words, I don't have words because I have had not enough sleep, but I tried to build up I want to say a backlog, but I don't know if that's the right word, whatever. I tried to build up a log of videos so that if something like this happened, there would still be videos, but the trouble is with going back to work, there's less filming time. Gardening tasks tend not to take 5 minutes. Today's ones are a little bit different, but yeah, they tend to take quite a long time to actually film because the thing takes a while to do. And yeah, it's just, there's only so many videos you can film when you're working. And to be honest, it's rained so much in the last 3 weeks that it would have burned through any videos that I had pre-made. So apologies for the all-overness of the channel and the scatteredness of my brain, but that's just, it's where we're at. So thanks for meeting us where we're at, and sorry it's a mess in all the ways. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one.